A conservative, Trump-loving news channel has exposed a plot to overthrow the Donald from within his own MAGA circle, and I have all the sensational, mind-blowing details for you next. I'm Dan, and thank you for watching Occupy Democrats. If you're new to the channel, please click that subscribe button to get all of our daily reports on the chaos, corruption, and Game of Thrones world that Donald Trump is responsible for. Let's begin with a scathing takedown of Trump as shared by Lawrence O'Donnell. The piece speaks of the most powerful crime syndicate in history, and then I'll have the shocking expose of the far-right scheme to oust that mob boss as shared by the far-right media.
The New York Daily News says, quote, "It is time to acknowledge what has become tragically obvious. The Trump administration is essentially acting as a massive criminal enterprise. It lies, steals, extorts, and all while cloaked in the awesome authority of the state. It is on a crime spree that puts Al Capone to shame. This administration has murdered Renee Good and Alex Preddy, slandered them as domestic terrorists and assassins, and allowed their killers to walk free. Unleashed thousands of minimally trained ICE agents recruited with explicitly white supremacist messaging to inflict terror on people of color. Repeatedly violated the constitutional rights of citizens and non-citizens by arresting them for First Amendment protected speech, raiding their homes without judicial warrants and imprisoning them without due process, and killed dozens of civilians on the high seas solely on the unsubstantiated claim that they were drug runners, not that being drug runners would justify their summary executions without due process anyway. Released hundreds of imprisoned felons who brutally beat Capitol Police officers on January 6th, converted the once independent Department of Justice into an instrument of personal retribution via the prosecution of cooked-up lawsuits against the president's enemies, threatened to seize the territory of a sovereign nation, a NATO ally no less, and declared that legislators should be executed for reminding military personnel of their duty to disobey illegal orders. It is difficult to comprehend the level of state-sponsored criminality we are witnessing because our country has never experienced anything like it.
I'm a big fan of crime family dramas, and I've seen enough to know that the boss has to watch his back. You know, keep your friends close and your enemies closer. And in our featured story, Newsmax of all channels is reporting that the Epstein drop revealed a sinister plot by Trump's one-time closest ally.
And then they told us all throughout the next 4 years that our tech was secure, and it was the most secure election ever after bragging about meeting with the people who Jeffrey Epstein and Steve Bannon claimed could hack our elections. Their words, not mine. Make it make sense. But why was Bannon or any other officials in any other role meeting with people who, according to these emails, were doing or trying to do or possess the power to do all that? Let's look at some of the other stuff from these files, too, that even goes crazier than this stuff with Bannon. Why was he talking about replacing Trump, swapping Pompeo as the VP with Mike Pence, and then using the 25th Amendment to make Pompeo the president? These are text messages with what is assumed to be Epstein, confirmed to be with Bannon. Quote, "I like the idea of Pence stepping down in favor of Pompeo, so when it happens, he becomes president." That's from allegedly Epstein. And I'm thinking, it? What do you mean by it? Bannon responding, that is his name, "Has this been shopped?" Epstein replies, "Rudy did lay out impeachment, Pelosi vote, and don't go after Ivanka." Bannon says, "Great. Great. Impeaching Trump?" Well, I mean, we now know Pompeo was not a product of MAGA doctrine and was heavily critical of Trump once he left his first term, showing his true colors, and Bannon wanted him to become president? Am I reading that? There's a possibility that Bannon did nothing wrong and these are being misinterpreted. There's a possibility, giving him the benefit of the doubt here, considering he was, like, I defended this guy. I thought he was good for the administration initially. But there's some splaining to do about beyond talking about a documentary to revitalize Jeffrey Epstein's image.
Bannon is a convicted felon, and it is mind-blowing that this story, a plot to overthrow a sitting president by a trusted advisor, flies under the radar. But when a criminal enterprise operates in plain sight, as Trump's does, mainstream media has to report on the criminal activities and backstabbing of this day, not of days past. And speaking of operating in plain sight, I'll give Bannon the final word. Watch as he gives us a peek into the dark world that he and Trump live in and confesses his biggest fear to his crime family for all the world to see.
And I will tell you right now, as God is my witness, if we lose the midterms and we lose 2028, some in this room are going to prison, myself included. They're not.